This is Shakras and Shit, a playful look at spirituality. Today, my special guest is Monica Craik of both the Social Agency and Head Plus Heart. I believe we are in alignment with each other a little bit on our spiritual journeys and our paths, and how we've both stepped up a little bit in the last few years to just raise the consciousness of the people around us. So I'm super excited to dive right into it with you, Monica. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brent. Me too.
Beautiful. You live in Port Moody, the most
Yeah.
amazing little city in the world. And I live in Port Moody too. Tell me about your Port Moody experience.
Well, we moved out here. We were in East Van for like 8 years and then had like two little kids. And then that we kind of wanted more space and just started looking around at where we wanted to be. And it was 5 years ago. So the market was crazy. And we just started making offers on anything in North Van, Port Moody, or New West. And then this is the one that we got. So at first, I wasn't totally sure, but I love it here so much. I'm so thankful that this is where we landed.
Amazing. Synchronistic, it sounds.
Yeah, it was because it wasn't really like totally, a decided thing. But where we are right now, we have two little kids, and the whole neighborhood is swarming with children, and they all just like go to each other's houses and play. And it's like a really nice, free kind of childhood, kind of nearby the city, but still feels like we're really in nature.
Yeah. Amazing. Where the mountain meets the ocean and the SkyTrain and these towers just pop up all over the place. Right?
Yeah. Have you noticed how busy it's gotten in the last 5 years?
Yeah. Well, I lived here from 1977 to 1994. And then I left for 26 years. So I missed Port Moody, going from this tiny little town where the top of Noons Creek for me and my friend Chris and Marty and my boys growing up in grade 4, the top of Noons Creek was where our treehouse was. And now that's the beginning of Westwood Plateau.
Yeah.
And that to me, that was crazy. Whoa, they're building up the mountain. Now there's Newport Village and Klahani and these towers all around this our quiet little bay. So I missed the boom and showed up again. And what I love is it's still got that small town feel. It, but it's busier.
Yeah.
But it's busier, right?
It's busier, like all that brewery row. Every night
Yeah.
of the week, it's bumping down there.
Yeah. Love it. And by the
And
way,
then there's cougars roaming around.
did you say scooters?
Cougars, cougars
Cougars.
and
Oh,
bears.
right. We right out behind me. I had a bird feeders right there, and a bear knocked them down and ruined my hydrangeas. And I decided that's it for bird feeders for the summer, because yeah, they're everywhere. But welcome to the show. Port Moody aside, it's so great to have met you. You and I have never met. This is kind of our first time, which is super
Yeah.
exciting. So to the viewers and the listeners out there, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you ended up on chakras and shit. Your maybe your spiritual journey, and we'll get into obviously the social agency and especially Head Plus Heart.
Yeah. Well, so you and I kind of were connected by a friend of mine, Rosa.
Yeah.
And yeah, she was telling me about your podcast and what you were up to. And then that's kind of how we connected. But as far as my journey goes, I started like in the work world, started a marketing agency 12 years ago with my business partner, Kirsten. And oh, it's been great. We've loved it. It's been like a really beautiful thing. Like we've kind of always maintained work-life balance as best as we possibly can because I've kind of like had children and that agency all at the same time. And then a few years ago, I think now almost 4 years ago, I had like a deep desire to kind of get back to feeling like I was doing something really purposeful with my life. And that was kind of an intention that I kept putting forward in my meditations like, okay, I feel like I need to be showing up in the world in a bit of a different way. And what's that going to look like? Like my skill set is marketing, but I have this huge amount of passion for the spiritual realm, like connecting with something greater. feeling like I'm showing up and making a difference in some way has always been like a huge ideal for me. And and then one day I was actually doing a meditation, and it was like just something that I was like really putting out there every day. I sort of had this idea that just kind of popped in, and it felt so strong. Like I felt like I just got this kind of download, like to start a platform to make it really easy for people to connect with spiritual events and wellness events and teachers and practitioners, like sort of a connecting place where you could go and find like a community, inspiration, retreats, and maybe that one-on-one support with teachers as well. And so that's what kind of inspired me to launch Head Plus Heart, and it's kind of been developing ever since.
Love it. Tell me about the download. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think because at the time I was really seeking a shift in my life, like how I wanted to show up and live. And I've always, been a spiritual person and wanted a community around that, but I didn't really have one. Like I had gone to a church for a while, and then that just it wasn't a great fit for me anymore. And so I was like, exploring all these different like meditation communities and different things, and there's so much out there and so much of it that there's so many different flavors and personalities, right? And so I'm like, gosh, it would be so like I just had this idea of like, okay, like it would be great to have something that's like kind of curated that gives people a sense of what they can expect and just helps kind of weed out stuff for them, and just showcasing all some really quality gatherings. And there's a lot of free and beautiful community options out there for people to tap into.
Okay. And this is now we're talking about Head Plus Heart and how you created Head Plus Heart.
Yeah, so that
Amazing.
was it. I kind of had that initial download, and then started developing it from there.
Okay. And Head Plus Heart, what I read on your website, I love this. Head Plus Heart is a wellness seeker's best friend.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what this show is all about, is people who are seeking wellness and are seeking an understanding of whatever's up for them, that download that they might be getting. Like over the last couple of weeks, we've been in Mercury retrograde, and it's been there's been some weird things happen with technology in our office and fires at my friend's house, and it, bizarre arguments, and just Mercury retrograde has just been kind of messing with everything. We're right in the middle of it right now. But this download that you had 4 years ago to start this was around the same time that I've heard many light workers were called, was in late 2017, mid 2017. Is that roughly when you had yours?
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
as me too.
And
Amazing.
it's crazy because since like so I had this vision, and it's been an evolution, but now having like built a community, like there's like a community, you and like so many in Port Moody too, Vancouver, all the Pacific Coast, so many amazing people doing really beautiful work. Well, along the way I've discovered like four that I can think of, other kind of people that were really similar to me. And we all had kind of
Yeah.
very similar ideas at the same time. And so they each kind of have a different flavor, but they were all coming about like really at that time.
Yeah. Well, how did yours come to you? What was it? Was it a dream? Were you on a mushroom trip? Were you walking down the street? Were you driving down the highway? How?
No, it was like literally I had been for a few months, like just in the space of like, okay, I'm ready for something new. I need a creative outlet. I need an outlet to like I had read, that there's every one of us like has something that we're so passionate about, and you spend like hundreds of hours learning about, and that there's always an opportunity for you to take that thing and turn it into a business or a venture of some kind. And so like I'd had that floating in my mind, and I'm like, well, for me it's definitely like learning about healing and spirituality and like um consciousness. And so I'm like, okay. So I'd kind of been having that as an intention in my meditations, like to like open up to some type of idea that I could bring forward into the world and maybe use my marketing skills um, and then also like merge it with something new. And I didn't know what that would be. But then in that one day in the meditation, it just kind of like, it was like there needs to be a place that makes it easier for people to find all these beautiful things. And so it kind of, yeah, that was the initial download.
Brilliant. And then tell me about how that led into this wellness seeker's best friend. How what were the steps then to get going with? Hi, Chloe. There goes a cat. Wellness seeker's best friend. How did that then lead to the head plus heart? What were the next steps?
Yeah. So basically, the first kind of version, it was really like a wellness events platform, I would say. Like, so I created this platform. I did the branding with a really lovely branding expert that I know. And the vision for the initial site was like an event platform. So like I just started inviting, I made it like user generated so people can create an account, they can share their events. And I just started inviting like all of the teachers that I'd encountered and knew and researched or read their books, like people that I really loved. I kind of aimed really high. I was like emailing Michael Singer and Eckhart Tolle and like
Oh,
telling them
nice.
like you should put your events on my platform. I want to make it really easy for people to find all of these beautiful things in one space. Yeah, that's one of my favorite books. And yeah, and like all these teachers. And so, and then a lot of them did start just using the site to share their events. Like, I don't actually let people sell their tickets on there. So they would send them back to their own site to actually purchase tickets or sign up or register if it was a free event, whatever it was. But, and since then, you know, there's been hundreds of people that have created accounts and been sharing their wellness and spiritual offerings, whether it's like a book talk or a yoga retreat or like an ayahuasca ceremony. There's those on there too. Energy healing, like all sorts of events are on there. A lot of like weekly gatherings that people offer. So
Amazing. Michael
yeah,
Michael Singer wrote Untethered Soul and
yeah,
the Surrender Experiment. If I'm Am I right
mhm,
on that? Yeah,
that's right.
incredible. Look, and Eckhart Tolle. I mean, those are huge names. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I know. Like they didn't start using the site.
That's okay.
I will
Yeah.
say, like, you know, they don't they didn't need a promotional platform, but there was a lot of other people like Tosha Silver and just people that I had been like reading and really loving and different and like a lot of like local teachers all the way from, mostly from California up to BC that I reached out to and many of them still continue to use the site and like places like Banyan bookstores where they do, you know, they feature teachers in different talks every month, like several. They always share their stuff on the site. So it's still, I think, like that initial vision is still a huge part of what it is, like a central place to find great events. And then I've since kind of expanded it a little further and added a directory of wellness teachers and practitioners. And so that's a place where people, if they're looking for like one-on-one support or maybe a program, they can go and like discover some really high quality, like super high caliber teachers to work with.
Amazing. And it's a one-stop shop where you can go if you're feeling Kundalini yoga or you're looking for a Reiki master or you want to connect with a community around authentic relations, that sort of thing. You have it all in one spot, all in one website. Here's where you go, look in your community. Here's the people I'll connect you with. Is that basically?
Yeah, that's totally it. And I also really try to showcase like a huge diversity of teachers from different ethnic backgrounds, like all across the board. Like, so that's another feature. We want to make it feeling like really inclusive, no matter who you are, what you look like, what your orientations are, where you're at on your journey. If you're like just wanting to dip your toes in, or you've been like doing, you know, meditation for 25 years, like it's really for everyone.
Beautiful. And then I saw there that you heart badge ones. Is that you heart badge ones that you've done yourself, or how does that work on the site?
Yeah, so we feature like I'll feature the things that I've tried myself, and then I also have a team of like content advisors. They're different people that I've gotten to really know and trust, and so like I'll kind of weigh on them for some recommendations from time to time if we want to talk about a specific modality and I don't have that much personal experience with it. So yeah, we try to like I'll try to like heart badge and like just kind of feature the things that have been really personally vetted and tried just to give it that personal recommendation feeling.
Beautiful. Which ones have you tried?
Oh, I've tried so much. I don't that would take our whole show. It's embarrassing actually.
No. Well, okay. Well, then which ones are more the most? Which ones had the biggest impact on you, and how?
In terms of modalities,
Yeah. Did you have a Reiki session where you saw childhood trauma? Did you have a ayahuasca ceremony where you predicted the future? What?
yeah. Okay. So, well, definitely my favorite modality of everything I've tried is breath work.
Okay.
So, I had my very first breath work journey 2 years ago. It was with Carmen Gain. She's a local breathwork facilitator, and she's an amazing person. And so I was actually like, sometimes I write articles for different magazines, and I was writing an article for the Daily Hive on breathwork and just tapping into breathwork as a kind of a new way of healing and wellness. And so I was really kind of doing it to like write that article. But when I went through and had that session, I wasn't expecting anything. But so basically, it was like a 2.5 hour session. She started out with a really like beautiful intake just to kind of gather intentions and like get to know me a little bit. And then she has me lay down and teaches me this technique. And so what it is, it's a 3-part breath that you do with your mouth open and your jaw relaxed. And it's like, and you're doing it continuously with your mouth open and your jaw relaxed for an hour and a half. And what it does, well, like the experience that I had for my very first experience was like I was like flooded with tingly sensations all through my body. I felt so much energy moving through. And I had set an intention that day to receive clarity, like just in my life in general. My life felt really out of balance. And I felt like I audibly heard like a message come to me of like, it's time to live in your body
Wow.
because I was so in my mind. I mean, I named it Head Plus Heart, and obviously,
Okay.
a recognition of the need for the both to be equal in our human experience. And yeah, it was just this really beautiful and intense experience of like coming back into my body, recognizing the need to feel safe in my own body and to be fully embodied like as a human being, and to tap into all of the intelligence that comes through the sensations in our own body. And so breathwork kind of was like a huge reminder, and it's been a really big practice for me ever since.
Amazing. And you've since you've since become a or you're training to become a breathwork facilitator, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I've done a couple of trainings and now I'm getting my practice hours. So I've started like facilitating other people, and it's been incredible. I love it so much.
Amazing. I love how you just take a download or you learn something and it sounds like you test it out, you try it, and then you want to share it with people.
Yeah, that is how I feel about breath work because it's like as someone that's been, pretty type A and driven and really living in my head for many, many years, and now just a huge desire to like shift that. Um, and seeking out all these different practices to kind of support a bit of a shift in that direction. I feel like yeah, like I've gained so much from that particular practice. It's really helped me make that shift to like release stuck emotions, release old anxiety, remember to breathe. Like throughout the day, I just started realizing how much like things would get tense. Things would be like tense with like my kids or work, and you just kind of stop breathing. And I'm like, that's not a full life, like to be tense and like holding your breath. And so I think the awareness of breath, like it's such a kind of metaphor for me and probably for so many other people too.
Yeah. And when I get off track, remembering to just breathe. Just breathe was my stake about, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, and it was a reset. It was a calming. When I'm at my best when I'm calm, and I'm often frantic. When I remember to just breathe, it might only be 10 seconds. Just breathe. What a way to reset whatever's going on in your head. Allow your heart
Hmm.
energy to come up, become present, become balanced. Sometimes it takes 10 minutes or an hour, or I once did a 10-day silent vipassana in Nepal. Sometimes it takes 10 days, but it's all we got. Without breath, what is there? Right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's our breath is such a gateway. Um, it's interesting because, with breath work, you go like that active meditation, that conscious connected active breath work that I just described. You actually go into an altered state that's really similar to doing mushrooms. I haven't done ayahuasca before, so I can't speak to that, but like, yeah, it kind of blasts you wide open. Like you're blasting open your awareness, and it's actually being a practice that's being used in different um, communities, indigenous populations, for, I've heard, this is what they taught in my program that I took, like thousands of years, as a modality to help people like with physical healing and also just like opening up to guidance from above.
Completely. Yeah. And thinking of the chakras and thinking of our higher self, without breath, without connecting to the earth and to our higher self, that's where I feel I've lived an unconscious life for many, many years, not thinking about my breath, not understanding, not seeing the signs, not getting the downloads, and I've been working on and do some forgiveness work around how I was in my 20s and 30s. But thank God I finally found this. Thank God I'm being taught how to breathe, maybe for the first time in my life, in my early 40s. It's never too late.
Yeah. What would you say is like the modality that's most being supportive in your journey?
Yeah, breathing, meditating, for sure. The 10-day silent meditation changed everything for me. It showed me what I'm really capable of. Have you ever done a Vipassana?
I
No?
haven't.
Okay. So there's either a 3-day or a 10-day is kind of your typical. And I had just started meditating in late 2018 in Bali. My friend Chad and I sort of taught me how to meditate for the first time and how to breathe really for the first time. And a few months later, I found myself in Nepal and I went all in. I'm like, I'm going to do 10 days of this. And that that then became the thing I could rely on more than anything else when I get off track, is to just remember everything is impermanent. You're gonna if you jump into cold water, you're gonna warm up eventually. If you stub your toe, the pain's gonna go away. Everything's impermanent. But the breath work and the meditation led, then when I got home, I traveled for 13 and a half months and returned home in the winter of 2019, I guess. Is how do I bring the stuff I learned around the world that's working so well to me to Western society? And then that led to the 5 a.m. club for me, Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. club, which was 20 minutes of vigorous exercise, 20 minutes of spirituality or breath work or meditation, and 20 minutes of educational work in the morning before your first coffee kind of thing. And it was the breath work and the meditating and the visualizations that come with just being still, just being
Yeah.
calm, and to start my day calm and centered and in balance and in flow has opened up all these incredible things that have happened for me in the last sort of year and a half. So yeah, breath work and meditation right there.
And well, because you named your podcast Chakras and shit, like, are you into like energy healing and chakras, or like, how did that name come about?
Because I misspelled chakras I, I bought this book, the Book of Chakras, and I wanted to learn about the chakras. Chakras starts with a C. Everyone knows this except me. I went and bought the domain, and it was Shakras and shit with an S, because S and S work together. And then I realized, like, 2 months later, or halfway through this show starting, oh my god, I spelled chakras wrong. So I just pretended it was I pretended it was a marketing thing. The social agency told me to use an S. But no, this started with my friend in Nepal that I met, the most incredible, spiritual, beautiful healer, energy healer. His name's Anthony Little, Tony. He's the very first episode of the show. And him and I were going back and forth over Zoom or whatever, Facebook. And I went, let's just do a live. Let's do a Facebook Live, you and I. Let's just do it. And let's call it a podcast. And I didn't know I'd never listened to a podcast before in my life. So the first podcast I ever listened to was my own. And it came up because I was going to write a book about my travels and my spiritual journey and my return home. And Chakras and shit came up because it's kind of edgy and kind of fun, and it's not taking spirituality too seriously, but it, it's kind of, it fits for me. It just fits. Chakras and shit's perfect. And that just led to this conversation with Anthony. And I the morning of my show, I went on Google search. I woke up like 2 hours early and went, how to start a podcast. I had already promoted it. I'd already put it on a Facebook. I did all these. I didn't even know what a podcast was. I knew it was two people. I knew basically what it was. It was two people talking. But this is my version of a podcast and my spelling of chakras, and very uniquely me. And then it's just led to, like, I've had 20 just incredible spiritual beings and beautiful humans. And my ayahuasca shaman was on, and my money mindset facilitator was on, and Verena, who did the energy clearings, and yourself. And it's just been this, like, mind-blowing, beautiful thing that allows me to be in service, allows me to do the exact same things that Head Plus Heart does, which is give people a chance to connect with whatever it is they're missing in their life or whatever they're seeking, and just be in flow and in balance, and yada yada yada. Here we are at Chakras and Shit season 2, just in flow.
Did you feel like, well, so it sounds like you didn't really have like it all mapped out or planned out or like any major vision when you started it. It just like, it
No,
just kind of happened.
the download was Chakras and Shit. I literally wrote it on a sticky note. I think I told my friend Cheryl, I'm like, oh my god, I finally named my book. And it was sitting there as a sticky note on my computer, Chakras and Shit. That was all. That was the download. And then I thought it was going to be my book title. And then a couple weeks or months later, all this stuff in my life was going on during COVID, and it led to this thing with Tony, which has led to this show, which has led to a chance for me to use my voice and to offer up all the things that are inside me, get them out, and do it in a way that I'm in service. So
I love it.
yeah,
And is that still your book title too?
I don't know. It changes. I've also had Thrice Around the World. I've had I don't even remember. I haven't started my book. So I wrote a speech instead, and it was 7 minutes, and it was basically a lot of what my book would be. It'll come. I just learned how to voice to text, and that was amazing. So now, 'cause I'm not a fast typer, right? So writing a book was daunting. I'm like, oh my god, I got to learn how to type. Forget that. So then I heard voice to text. I'm like, oh, thanks, Bath Mackay Real Estate Group. My friends over there went, here's how you do it. You talk. I'm like, oh, I can talk a book. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you do some blog writing. Do you have a book? Do you have a book title? Do you have a plan?
You know, it's funny. I've like always thought like I'm gonna write a book, and I did an English lit degree. And I love literature. I love reading and I love writing. And writing is probably my favorite part of everything that I've done. I love it. So I was just on this little retreat with some women, and we were doing a little like kind of like opening up to what drops in kind of exercise. And I really clearly got like, you should write a book. And I do have an idea for it. So yeah, I started as soon as I got back. I felt really motivated, and I spent like a couple of mornings like kind of starting to write, and
Okay.
I think something will come. Yeah.
Nice. What would it be around? What would be the subject matter?
Well, so the subject is um, unmeasuring.
Hmm.
Because like for me, having been in marketing and PR and then just the way that my life has unfolded, that is a really like beacon of the things that I've gotten stuck on that have taken away from my peace and joy in life is like just being in a mindset of like, having to be at this place in your life at a certain time, like, just all the pressure to like have your certain finances, kids, marriage, job status. Like there's so much measuring that happens like in our culture, and then I think we do it to ourselves too, like putting ourselves in a box of what life should look like and what we should be like. And um, as I've kind of like started to unravel that in a path to freedom, I think that's what the book will be about.
Unmeasuring a path to freedom. Ooh,
Yeah. Oh,
I
thanks.
like that.
Let me write
Yeah, love it. Yeah,
that.
this is recorded. What do you feel you were measuring too much of in the past? What would you like to unmeasure more of?
um, I'd say like the pressure to really be something.
Mm,
Um, yeah, like feeling like there's just a judgment around what my life should look like. And like I'm like, I mean, I can remember feeling like this when I was like really young, like 10 years old, even like and then a little older, like in grade 8 and 9. I remember like I wanted to take art in high school, but I took computers because that was like the smart choice, and I wanted to like be on the right path and like build my trajectory at a young age and like do all the right things, and um that just really sucks that there's all that pressure and that people aren't really living from their true desires. And what I'm realizing as I'm getting older is that like living from your desires is what brings the greatest success.
hmm.
It's not just self indulgent. It's actually like bringing your true energy into something is what's going to bring you the greatest success as well. So, yeah, I feel like there's like that lesson that would be a central kind of theme if I do write a book.
Love it. Do you feel like you're close to that right now?
Yeah, I do. I do feel like I'm close to it. Yeah, for sure.
What's the next step? What's the next thing to get even closer?
I feel like and I kind of mentioned this to you when we first chatted, like learning about um, manifestation and the kind of, Joe Dispenza's kind of teachings.
Hmm.
Like there's so many teachers that have taught on that. And as soon as I read that, I felt like, yes, this is so true. It's not, the world around us that creates our reality. It's our beliefs about the world that creates what happens. So there's so much power in, you know, really catching those negative beliefs or thoughts or systems or like energies in the body and like reprogramming. And once you are like aligned with your desires, with your like the endless possibilities, those can happen in your life. And so for me, it's kind of like stepping out with a little bit more faith in that instead of holding on to some of those old ways that have really worked for me in the past, but they're no longer my truth. Like, being a major taskmaster, that's how I've like coped and had a lot of, just being able to manage doing a lot of stuff. But now I'm realizing I don't need to do that. I can actually like prioritize like ease
Mm.
and better things happen.
Yeah. Right. What kind of things? Wh-
Well, I think it's like, being in that state of ease attracts in opportunities that are more aligned with that ease, rather than like being in that state of like, okay, I've got my list, it's all great plans, I'm going to plow through it, I'm going to like make all these calls, make all this stuff happen. It's a forcing. And like, yes, you can achieve and get good outcomes with that approach, but if your desire is like ease and joy and magic and possibility, approaching your day with like, taking care of yourself, breathing,
Mm.
being comfortable, being relaxed, like just seeing what comes. I'm finding like the days that I do that, like, and just say to myself, like, okay, today I'm open to something really great and unexpected to come, you know? It usually does. And it's
Yeah.
easier.
a- and and the word that's coming up for me around all this is presence.
Presence, yeah. Yeah. So for me, that's like something I really prioritize. I don't always do it that well, but I'm really prioritizing it more, especially right now. How about you? I know manifestation is like being a big part of your own path.
Yeah.
What would you say is like, have you ever had a moment where you really like stepped out in your new paradigm and then you saw the proof that it actually can work?
Oh my. All of the last 4 years, I've been in complete flow with no planning. Like, if it like just I'm a realtor now in Port Moody, in Belcarra, at a place where I'm going to save this for the episode with Kim Nonis, but I had a long-term vision that is basically where I am right now. And that long-term vision was 3 years ago, and the long-term vision was supposed to happen in 2033, and it's already happened. So my manifestation power, our manifestation powers as human beings in general, are way more powerful than most people realize. Be the conscious unconscious argument. But my actual human design from my birth moment and who I'm meant to be and who I'm on this earth to be is that of a manifestor. That I am a manifester. That is there's I think we're less than 1% or something. So for me, it isn't about hard work and planning and 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 routine and rigidness. That doesn't work for me. I'm a manifester, which means there's procrastination, there can be laziness, because I know that I can create whatever I want when I'm ready to create it. So these last 4 years for me, it's been a follow the bouncing ball scenario where I stopped worrying about things like money. Basically completely unmeasured, if you will. Stop worrying about money. Stop thinking about what I need to do, stop falling in line, and just take a deep breath, slow down. It led me around the world twice in the last 3 years. I've been to, I don't know, in the last 3 years I've been to 20 something plus countries. It led to volunteering. It led to an incredible job opportunity. I bought a little place in Bali. I've met some of the most amazing people in my entire life as I opened myself up to it, including yourself. And all of a sudden, I feel like I have no stress. Like I have no stress. I'm in complete flow. And it was letting go and shedding the stuff that I held on to in the past. And I beat myself up with a stick. That's been my thing, is punishing myself for the things I think I should have been doing in my 20s and 30s. And I still every once in a while do it. But a 7-year-old boy who lives downstairs here, uh, caught me saying something like, "I'm an idiot. I'm sorry, guys, I'm an idiot." I actually said those words, and he looks at me and goes, "But you're not an idiot." And I went, "You're right. I'm not." And it's these moments of awareness that I never had before that have allowed me to
Mhm.
just keep kind of leveling up over and over again. And now manifestation's the limit. I can create anything I want.
That's
and it
awesome.
and it attracts. It's that vibrational thing, right? When I first landed in Bali, I met a girl named Lisa Marie Schneider, and she was an ex supermodel and Guess Jeans model and Hollywood star and all this fun stuff. And I truly believe I never and Joanna, this other amazing girl, woman Reiki master, These are two human beings that weren't capable of entering my field before I got to a certain vibrational uh, level, right? I wasn't
Yeah.
capable of attracting them into my life before that moment. And when I started to learn about flow and being grounded and not worrying about and not punishing myself for the past and not having long-term expectations for the future, things like my bank account have suffered, things like, things that normal people in Western society probably should pay more attention to. I just want to forget all that. I'm just going to be in flow like Michael Singer in the surrender experiment. let's just
Yeah.
let's just be and see what happens. And I, I'm currently the best version of myself there ever was right now. So yeah,
That's awesome.
thank you for the question.
Yeah. I love that because I think there's a lot of teaching in our world that just comes through the culture and through like our education systems that's like you can either do it this way or this way. You can have this or this. You have to like work hard and have a lot of money or, you'll suffer and your life isn't going to be, there's always this like black or white kind of like choice. Your choices are like limited to like these two different realms when really I think the truth is like everything's available.
Mhm.
You can always add like an and in there.
Yeah.
You can be you can be in flow, relaxed and make a lot of money.
How? Teach me.
You can Well, that's what a lot of, there's a lot I mean like I think it's true. I do believe that's true. I've seen it happen for a lot of people where it's about partly like honoring your own worth, believing it's possible for yourself, kind of getting past limiting beliefs as like one of the pieces to the process. And then if that's your desire to have like a really wealthy lifestyle or whatever the kind of lifestyle is is your desire, the idea of like really visualizing that for yourself and putting yourself in that place of how it's going to feel when that is your reality, you start to be an energetic vibrational match for that reality, and it can happen in ways you didn't expect.
Hmm.
Like one example that comes to mind is like one of my desires this year was to really meet more strong inspiring women that I could be friends with. And just like I'm like, oh, I want like I love my friends, but I also just felt like I have room for more women connections in my life, like really strong, inspiring women who are kind of also interested in spirituality. And then that's really happened. Like I got a phone call from one of the teachers that I met through breathwork, and she invited me on a retreat with there's like four women and they're all incredibly strong inspiring women, and it just kind of fell into my lap. And I'm like, in the old days I would have been like, okay, I want to build a community, I'm gonna like make some calls or whatever,
Yeah.
like kind of forced it a little bit, but I'm like, no, this is like that was a really nice example of like, oh wow, I just had that deep desire and I was like journaling about it, and then a month later, the doors have kind of opened for all these new relationships, which is really sweet.
Love it. You're in flow.
I'm
You're,
not a manifesting expert, by the way, so I don't want to, make it seem like I am. I'm definitely not, but I believe in this. I do believe in it.
well, you are and you aren't. You aren't probably because of your planning, right? Like you step by step by step step. But those are mini manifestations, each one of them, right? And what you're creating with Head Plus Heart, which I think is incredible. I love this. We're gonna promote the heck out of that because what a great place for people to go. Uh, you've manifested that. You manifested that with a vision while you were meditating, and you
Yeah,
and you're a creator. You're a doer. You make things happen, and I love that. That's the way of the light worker, and that's what you are. You're a light worker.
thank you.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
Thank you. Yeah. Two light workers, just light working. Here we are. uh, I know you've got something to attend to pretty quick here. So
Yeah.
we'll probably wrap this up. Is there anything else on your mind, or any questions that you wished I had asked you?
Um, Gosh, no, I don't think so. Um, I'm really thankful for the chance to chat with you. I love what you are doing as well. You're such a beautiful example of, living out your desires and all the connections you've made and all the teaching that you're bringing through this podcast. So yeah, thanks so much for connecting with me.
Yourself as well, and Rosa gets a shout out. So
Yeah,
Rosa and I went to junior high and high school. We Port Moody Junior, Port Moody Senior in 1993, 2, 3, 4, and she simply put us in connection with each other. I did We didn't know, and this is how manifestations work. This is how connection works. This is how vibrational matches happen. And who knows, by me being here for you, hopefully there's people on my end that might reach out. If there's anyone who wants to be a guest that's on your page that's seeing this going, I want to do that. Let's just raise the vibration of the world. Let's raise consciousness, and light workers unite. You know what I'm saying?
totally. Actually, there's so many people on my platform that would be a great fit for this show.
Cool.
Like even people in Port Moody, there's like this amazing woman who she's a medical intuitive and she like diagnosed some of my health problems and it's like she has this really amazing gift and she would be a beautiful person to chat with.
Love it. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. So how do people, let's get the particulars out there. How do people get a hold of you? Instagram, webpage, that sort of thing?
Yeah, they can. I mean, I'm a big fan of email, so you can always email me, Monica at headplusheart.com. Um, I've got an Instagram page. Really, if people want to check out the platform, it's just headplusheart.com. It's a place where you can go and explore upcoming events, find teachers and practitioners, learn about different modalities if you're curious to like check something out. And I always share my personal experiences having like if I dive into something like I tried working with a medical intuitive, doing a mushroom ceremony, like all those things. So I'll like try it out and write about it. And yeah,
Beautiful. Love it. And I love that you give back too. I think I saw that for all the event platform revenue that you bring in, 1% goes towards donating to child trafficking. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I'm giving partial proceeds to an organization called the SA Foundation. So they do work around the world to help women and girls who've been trafficked and who are looking for support with their recovery from that life. So
yeah,
yeah.
it's an underbelly I don't understand. I've seen bits of it in Nepal and India, and we have some guests coming up this season. We're actually going to go down the rabbit hole a little bit, and um, I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm scared, but I think this child trafficking thing is bigger than I realized sitting in my garage in Belcarra. So I love that you're stepping up in that effort, and hopefully we can reverse some of these horrible trends that are going on out there.
I really hope so. I think that's pretty much the worst crime that's happening right now. Like women, especially children, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah,
And apparently it's one of the world's biggest industries. So I do feel like it will take a united effort to shift that and take apart some of those systems that are in place that are keeping people oppressed in that way. And like, if I would pray one thing, I hope that changes in our lifetime.
yeah. Well, we'll keep raising awareness and keep doing our part, and slowly but surely the world will change in our favor.
Yeah,
So
I believe it for sure.
cool. This
Yeah,
is this was amazing. Thank you for being a guest on the show, and wish you luck with your thing right now.
yeah, oh
And
yeah,
it's so good, so good to meet you. And obviously we're neighbors, so let's go down to Brewery Row and have a pint and see where this goes.
Yeah, I'd love to. And I always go out hiking at Jug Island, so maybe you can
Oh,
come with me sometime.
it's right there. Yeah, my girlfriend tries to get me up there a lot, and I have these limiting beliefs and these so and I'm not in great shape right now. So Jug Island sounds like a great idea. I can boat to it, but I think I'd rather run and get into better shape. Beautiful. So this was Chakras and Shit. Again, for Monica, it's headplusheart.com. If you'd like to follow the show or check out past episodes, it's www.chakrasandshit.com. Chakras is SHAKRASANDSHIT.com. Instagram of the same handle. I am Brent Raymond, the Playful Paladin, and thank you for joining us. Cheers.